I'm just going to live life to the fullest and enjoy everything.
In the summer of 2015, Anita Cohen sat down for a video interview along with her sister, Kiara.
Couldn't believe it, yeah.
That's a story.
Yeah. To make a long story short, my name is Anita Cohen. It was formerly Anita Mellon, born in Winnipeg, a cold place of the world.
And my father's name was John Melonchuk. And my mother and father, when they got married, they started to use the name Mellon just because it was an easier name to spell.
My dad only worked 2 or 3 days as a tinsmith at the CPR yards, which was, I think he could even walk there, it wasn't that far. But my dad loved playing the horse races, and he used to go
Gambling.
like me. He had a Cinnamon down, so they used to, maybe 3 weeks out of the year, they used to run the horses there. Anyway, he always liked the numbers 5 and 2. And he put $2 on the 5 and 2. And they were 2 big long shots. That means nobody, they weren't favorites. So there's like, say, 50 to 1 and 30 to 1. Anyway, he won, it was over $2,000.
That time, that was a lot of money.
That was a lot of money. And we had such a good time. And I grew up in a very loving home. My grandparents, Tito and Bobby, absolutely adored me, spoiled me. But Mom and Dad lived there because times are tough and very hardworking. I used to remember we had a big stove and they put logs in it.
No, Joseph Nefanchikacho. He was our grandfather, and our grandmother's name was Necha, I was named after. And then Sarah, that's his second wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the originator of all these, the whole thing.
Norm and I had twin beds upstairs, and my baba, Sarah.
Her name was Sarah.
She had the room upstairs. And my mother and dad slept in the dining room on a hide-a-bed. I gave my grandmother the room.
Sarah was a very small woman. She didn't speak English, and I spoke a little bit of Yiddish, but not much. But she made her living, before she came to live with us when she retired, she made her living going to people's houses on Fridays and making handmade lakshan, which is like spaghetti, handmade. And that's what she did. So,
and she saved enough money, I remember, to pay for her funeral, her burial, and everything. She had money put away.
It was in her cedar chest. She had her own dishes and her own pots and pans because she kept kosher, and we weren't kosher enough in the house for her. Yeah. One thing I remember about her was sitting on the veranda. Salter Street was a busy street. And she would sit on the veranda in the summer, and she would just look outside. And I said to her, "What are you looking at?" And she said to me, "I have eyes, and so I look." I thought that was quite profound.
Yeah.
Anita has a little sister.
My name is Kiara Fine. The name I was born with is Norma Nacha Mellon. When I got married, my last name became Fine, F-I-N-E, and so my full name is Kiara Fine. So my mother's name was Molly Knapp. That's her maiden name, and her Jewish name was Masha. My mother was very smart. She won awards when she was 16. She was the top typist in Manitoba. And she was also the top saleswoman wherever she worked. What didn't matter what store she worked in. She had a knack. That was her knack, was to be able to sell. And Louis has that too, and so do you actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
She's just so positive. She was so positive, and she just knew her product, whatever it was.
She could convince anybody
Yeah.
to buy whatever she was selling. She was a very smart dresser, just like you. It's true, you're a smart dresser.
My mother had saved up enough money to put a down payment on our little house on Mountain and Salter. And I think I was going to already McRae, or then I jumped into high school. And of course, high school was a delight. I had lots of friends, and I was skinny. We used to wear tunics, black tunics, really short, long black stockings, bloomers, white shirts and a tie. And everybody looked the same, so if you were rich or poor, it didn't make any difference. We all dressed the same. So, I don't know, I had loads of friends, and I went to the Y, which was a mainstay in the Jewish community. Every Saturday night there was a Teen Town dance, and we went there. We had lots of fun. Nobody had any cars, so there was no hanky-panky, nobody drank. Nobody had never heard about drugs or anything like that. But it was wonderful growing up in Winnipeg because everybody was always so hospitable. And then the flood came. There was a big flood, and my mother, and there was a threat of, I don't know, water contamination or some kind of disease. So my mother took my sister and I, we went on the train to Vancouver because we had a lot of family here. And I remember, I just loved the train ride because we used to sleep in bunks, like in sleepers. We ate on the train. It was like a 2-day journey. And I came here one year, and of course I came here when I was 15, 16, and 17. So I got to know all the kids. And the last time I came in 58 to 59, it was the summer, and I thought, gee, I better get a job because I have no money. So I applied at the Royal Bank, and I got the job, and I stayed here because, a new girl in town, new Jewish girl in town, really popular. And I was going out, I had a job and had money in my pocket. So I decided to stay here. I know my mom was heartbroken. I came by myself, yeah, but I had family here. I had the Knepps were all here. So I stayed with Neil Knapp's parents. And then I stayed with my Auntie Seema out on Marine Drive. It was a chicken farm, and there was 2 houses on the property. The main house is where my Aunt Seema and my Uncle Itzel lived, and I was in the back room there. It was cold as anything, I remember. There was another little house where Jerry, the son lived, Jerry Knapp, and his wife and the kids. The whole family worked there, like Jerry, Sam, Uncle Charlie, everybody worked in the farm. So she had to feed all these people. And Mrs. Knapp it would be like a ranch. She almost had to ding the bell and everybody would come. She made breakfast. The minute she finished breakfast, she had dinner. The minute she finished dinner, she made supper. There was always something on on the stove. That's why I guess I loved cooking. I used to walk to the bank because I got a my first bank was in Marpole. It's not there now. They built the Arthur Lag Bridge, so they closed the bank. And then I think I went to live with my Sam and Kitty Knapp, which was Neil's parents and Rhoda's parents. And I had a little room up there, and I paid board and room, and I worked at the Royal Bank. I met Sonny at a T-Town dance. They had them here at every Saturday at the Jewish Community Center was on 12th and Oak. I don't know what it is now, but Saturday night we used to go up there, and I met Sonny. And anyway, we started dating, and I started dating somebody else, and he didn't like it, so he said, "I guess I'll have to get married or something. So I don't want you to go out with anybody else." Anyway,
That was his proposal?
that was his. He wasn't very romantic at all. Yeah, because not at all. Never. You know what? It was because he really didn't have a mother's love. You know the story. His mother died at childbirth when he was 3, and him and Morris, his older brother, just got shipped to different parts of the family till Louis, which was his father, found another woman called Pauline. It was sort of an arranged marriage. She was coming from Romania. The boys settled down with their new mother, and it was fine until their son, they had a son together, Bruce Cohen, and it changed after that. Mostly Sonny had to look after Bruce all the time. And even when we were dating, we had a babysit because Sonny's father was a Shriner, and he was very active. So there was a lot of parties. There was, and I think Pauline was a daughter of the Nile. That was the woman's part. So Sonny and I used to have to babysit, and we never had a car, so we walked everywhere. We didn't do too much. We didn't have that much excitement, but anyway, it was, walking and going out for dinner and going to basketball games or baseball games. He was always interested in sports.
What was Sonny's occupation?
Oh, he was an optician. That's with the eyes. He was in it I think he started when he was 18. He started off in the factory making glasses, and then he was manager of a store, and sold them, and also knew every little problem of people. All the Jewish people used to go to him because he was really, really good. And the people that couldn't afford it, he always gave them such a good deal that he was called up by the firm one time. Why, but it was people that really couldn't afford it, so he always gave them really good prices, even though sometimes he lost, they lost a little bit of money. Very kind-hearted man. He'd give you this. He was a little gruff. He was a diamond in the rough, really. He had a temper.
Tell me about the wedding.
Oh, the wedding. Before the wedding, a great tragedy happened. There was 8 Neps. The youngest Nep, her name was Dorothy. She had a baby, and she got postpartum blues. They called it, I don't know what they called it years ago. She lived in Grand Forks, and she found a gun of her husband. She shot herself. This is 2 weeks before the wedding. Well, my family, my mother and all the cousins and the brothers and sisters were just so upset. So there was a damper on my wedding. Mrs. Cohen managed to invite 300 people, and I think Mr. Cohen paid for the liquor, which, years ago, Jewish people didn't drink a lot. That wasn't too bad. But my mom and dad, of course, couldn't afford it, so they went to the bank and got a loan for my wedding. And those days, may have cost $3,000 or $4,000. But it was at the Beth Israel sit-down dinner, and it was good. We got married. We rented a brand new apartment on 11th Avenue, 11th, between Granville and Oak. So the rent was $90 a month. And that was a lot of money in those days. I think Mr. Cohen must have put up 25 of it, and we put up the rest. And then I got pregnant, so we moved in the same apartment block, we moved from a 1-bedroom to a 2-bedroom. And I had Shelley there, and then Sonny's father said, well, I think it's about time, let's go look for a house. I had $500 saved, so I bought the fridge and stove for the house, and Sonny's father came up with $3,500. We bought the house on 23rd Avenue for $14,700, and we thought we'd never pay it off. It was $99.87 a month, principal, interest, and taxes. But we paid it off. It was a beautiful house, but it needed lots of work. We didn't have the money to fix it up, but it was a 50 by 150-foot lot. It was a good house. 1 bathroom, downstairs, very small. Bedrooms were upstairs, beautiful kitchen. Living room and dining room had, it was California stucco, had cove ceilings, like they were round like this, and French doors, real hardwood floors, like in the olden days, which we covered with carpets, and big lot. We were there for 35 years. And we sold that place for, I think, about $439,000. So we made a little bit of a profit. But it took us 35 years. And now the same house is worth, well, maybe a year ago, it was worth $1.8 million. So now it's probably worth more. But we had lots of good times there. We had really good neighbors, partied with them. We had lots of fun.
Anita and Sonny have 2 children. Shelley and Louie. Anita and Sonny have 3 grandchildren. Justin, Harrison, and Stacy. She also has a great-granddaughter, Haley.
My life is pretty full. You want a cup? Well, he'll make up his mind. Bentley has to get used to it here because there's no big yard that he can go run around, but we go 4 times or 3 times a day for a walk, and he does his business. Meanwhile, I'm quite busy because I play mahjong a couple times, sometimes a couple times a week. I play poker once a month, and I love games. And a game called Mexican Train. And I also do some volunteer work for animals. It's called Richmond Animal Protection Society, which I really like going for an afternoon and helping out. I go to the casino. I used to play poker a couple times a week, but I don't do it now because they raise this, the cost of it. I mean, it's higher limits, and I go there for enjoyment. I'm not such a shark like some of the men are, so I don't want to lose that much money, so I don't go there. But I enjoy going to play the slots. And I set sort of a limit. And when I lose, I go home. If I make, I go home. I hate being alone. That's what, I always like to have lots of company, lots of people around me. Stay together. Shelley.